My name is Christina Grizzle. I'm 32 years old, and the night my marriage fell apart didn't start with a fight or even a warning. It started with fluorescent hospital lights burning behind my eyelids and the taste of metal in my mouth of familiar exhaustion after a 12-hour ER shift that felt like it had vacuumed my soul hollow. Two codes: a stabbing victim, a terrified little girl who swallowed a Lego and couldn't breathe. I'd cleaned blood off my shoes twice. I hadn't eaten since sunrise. Every part of my body begged for nothing more than a shower, a warm bed, and silence. Instead, I walked into the most carefully staged betrayal I'd ever seen. It was a little past 11 p.m. when I opened the bedroom door. The lights were dim, soft, warm, the way Liam, my husband of 5 years, usually set them when he knew I had a brutal shift. For a second, that made my heart swell. A tiny breath of relief escaped my chest. Then I saw him, Liam, 29, sitting up in our bed, with another man under the blankets beside him. My brain rejected the image at first, as if it had been dropped into the wrong movie. My scrubs were still damp, my stethoscope hung around my neck, and my vision tunneled. "Christina, you're tired. You're hallucinating. You just need sleep." That's what my mind tried to tell me. But then Liam giggled. Actually giggled. "Oh my God, babe, you're home early," he said, biting his lip like this was some kind of romantic surprise. My eyes moved slowly, his bare chest. The stranger lying under my comforter, the phone clutched in Liam's hand. Recording. The stranger didn't move, didn't speak, just looked as uncomfortable as a kid forced into a school play they never auditioned for. And then I saw at the Ring camera he'd angled toward the door. My breath clicked in my throat. This wasn't infidelity, it was content. "Surprise," Liam chirped, lifting his phone like he was unboxing a gift. "It's a prank for TikTok. Aren't you gonna freak out? Come on, give me something dramatic." He thought my devastation would be entertainment. My heart didn't even break. It froze, like someone had poured liquid nitrogen into my veins. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't throw anything. In fact, I didn't feel anything at all. I just stared at him, the man I'd cooked for, supported through the lowest points of his life, held through panic attacks planned a future with, the man who knew how much betrayal terrified me, the man who used my heart as set dressing. And I walked out. No words, no scene, no meltdown, just silence. Behind me, Liam laughed. Then he hesitated. Then he called out, "Christina." "Babe, it's a joke. It's supposed to be funny." "Wait, where are you going?" But I was already moving down the hall, grabbing my wallet and keys, heading for the door, as if my body knew something my heart hadn't processed yet. By the time Liam realized I wasn't coming back, I was already in my car, engine running. I drove straight to the airport, parked, walked inside, booked the first flight out, one way, to stay with my older sister across the country. I didn't answer his calls, didn't open his texts, didn't lift my eyes from the airport tiles until I was boarding. When I landed 6 hours later, my phone had 126 missed calls and over 230 messages, starting with, "Lol, I can't believe you actually left." Then shifting to, "This isn't funny anymore. Where are you? You're being dramatic. Come home right now." I replied with only 4 words. "Talk to my lawyer." And then I blocked his number. Later that morning, as I sat at my sister's kitchen table, wrapped in one of her oversized sweaters, she wordlessly slid her phone toward me. Her eyebrows were tight, her jaw locked. "He posted it, Christina." Liam had uploaded this video anyway. "Cheating prank on wife goes wrong, 3.2 million views." People laughing at the moment my marriage died. I hadn't left because he cheated. I left because he wanted my heartbreak to go viral. And he had no idea what he'd started. When the plane touched down and the cabin lights flicked on, reality hit me harder than turbulence ever could. I had left my entire life behind with nothing but a purse, a phone, and the clothes I'd been wearing during a 12-hour shift. My sister Laura didn't ask questions when she picked me up. She just pulled me into a hug that lasted longer than either of us expected. I didn't cry, not yet. It was like my emotions were frozen somewhere deep in my throat, refusing to thaw. By mid-morning, I was sitting in a leather chair inside the office of Marilyn Cortez, a family attorney who came highly recommended by one of Laura's co-workers. Marilyn had the demeanor of someone who had seen every kind of human disaster and could categorize them neatly into legal folders. I told her everything. Walking into the bedroom, the stranger. The camera pointed at the door, my silent exit, the airport, the video. When she watched Liam's TikTok cheating prank on Wife Goes Wrong, her face did something subtle but unmistakable. It hardened. "This is not a prank," she said, pausing the video. "This is a calculated setup designed to humiliate you publicly." He filmed you without permission. He introduced an outside party into your marital home to trigger an emotional response. And he posted it for profit. I blinked. Profit? Yes. She turned her monitor toward me, showing analytics estimated creator fund payouts and traffic spikes. At 3 million views, he's made money. Not a fortune, but enough to be legally relevant. I didn't know whether to laugh or throw up. Marilyn leaned forward, fingers steepled. Christina, what your husband did can be defined as emotional abuse. Courts don't look kindly on this kind of behavior. If you choose to separate, this video strengthens your case significantly. Separate, the word echoed. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again and again. I had muted notifications, but they still vibrated relentlessly against the table. When I turned it over, there were hundreds of new messages, not just from Liam, but from random strangers. People who now felt entitled to judge me. Lol, she can't take a joke. Imagine ruining your marriage over a prank. He deserves better. My chest tightened, but Marilyn just nodded unfazed. This is the double-edged sword of virality, she said. But it also means he cannot control the narrative anymore. Not legally. Laura slipped her hand over mine. You're not going back there, Chris. Not after this. Before I could answer, my phone rang with an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something told me to answer. A quiet male voice spoke. Christina, this is, the guy from your bed. My stomach dropped. He introduced himself as Evan said he was a friend of Liam's ex-girlfriend. That alone made my pulse spike. Liam had brought someone connected to the woman he used to date into our bedroom. Evan sounded mortified. I swear I didn't know he was going to post it. I thought it was a dumb scare prank. I didn't realize he'd film you. Or that he'd, turn it into this. His voice shook. He apologized. Deeply, repeatedly. I ended the call when my hands began trembling too much to hold the phone. When we finally returned to my house with a police escort, as Marilyn recommended, I expected tension. I didn't expect destruction. Our living room looked ransacked. Blankets thrown everywhere. Drawers pulled out. My clothes scattered like debris after a storm. The TV missing. Some of my personal jewelry gone. The officer documenting everything let out a low whistle. Ma'am, he said, I've seen messy marriage fights, but pranking your spouse like this, that's a new one. It wasn't a prank to me. It was the moment a man I loved chose views over my dignity. And as I stood in the ruins of my own home, surrounded by proof of his tantrum, I felt something thaw inside me, not tears. Resolve. I wasn't the villain. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't overreacting. He threw away our marriage the second he decided betrayal made good content. And now consequences were coming, whether he was ready or not. The online wildfire didn't die down. It mutated. Within days, Liam had gone from posting teary apology clips to releasing full-blown storytime videos, painting himself as the abandoned, misunderstood husband whose wife ran away because she couldn't take a harmless joke. And people believed him, or at least enough did. I saw the videos because my sister showed me, not because I was looking. In one, he sat on our sofa, my sofa, the one he took after trashing the house pretending to choke back tears. I just wanted to make her laugh. He sniffed into the camera. But she's always been so sensitive. She's been emotionally distant for months. I think my prank finally pushed her to admit she didn't love me anymore. Emotionally distant. I had spent 5 years picking up the pieces of his panic attacks, paying bills during the months he refused to work, threading encouragement into him like stitches every time he spiraled. But now I was a distant, cold wife who abandoned him for internet sympathy. Marilyn's response was immediate. We're filing a cease and desist for defamation, she said, tapping her pen against a stack of printed screenshots. His narrative shift is predictable. The moment abusers lose control, they rewrite history. I didn't feel angry. I felt tired. Like all my emotions had been wrung out and laid on a clothesline to dry somewhere far away. But then it escalated. A woman approached me at the grocery store, eyes narrowed, voice sharp. You should be ashamed, she hissed. Tormenting your husband like that. I didn't even know how to respond. I just walked away, leaving a basket filled with fruit on the floor. The next morning, Marilyn called. You need to sit down for this. Liam had drained our shared household account, almost $5,000, while I was at my sister's. Money meant for rent, utilities, groceries. Money I had contributed more than half of. We immediately filed for an emergency motion. The judge ordered him to return half within 48 hours or face contempt charges. He complied, but not before his mother left my mom 12 voicemails, calling me a gold-digging parasite destroying her baby's life. My mom finally responded with, "Ma'am, if you contact me again, I'll have you blocked for harassment." Still, it didn't stop. 2 days later, during my first shift back at the hospital, security approached me halfway through triage. "Christina, your husband is in the waiting room." My breath stopped. "He's crying, demanding to see you. He's refusing to leave." The world blurred for a moment as anger, real cold, sharp anger, finally cracked through my calm exterior. Security escorted him out. He tried to grab my arm when I passed. I jerked away without a word. That night, he posted about it. "I went to my wife's work to apologize, and they treated me like a criminal. She won't even hear me out. I just want my marriage back." He left out the part where he screamed at 2 nurses, knocked over a chair, and had to be physically guided outside. I filed for a restraining order the next morning. The harassment didn't stop, just shifted tactics. His attorney reached out, announcing Liam's new demands: $15,000 for emotional damages, partial ownership of my retirement account, the living room furniture, a written statement saying the separation was mutual and amicable. Marilyn laughed, actually laughed. "He's delusional," she said. "We're rejecting everything except a standard equal split of shared assets. He gets nothing more." And yet the storm kept building. Later that week, I received a message that made my blood run cold. It was from Liam's ex-girlfriend, the woman whose friend had been in my bed. She admitted she helped him stage the prank. "He said it would be harmless and that you'd laugh it off," she wrote. "I had no idea it would become this big or that he'd unravel like this. I'm sorry." Unravel was an understatement. Liam wasn't losing control, he was setting fire to every boundary I'd ever set. And standing in my sister's guest room, holding my phone in a shaking hand, I finally understood something. This wasn't about a prank. This wasn't about TikTok. This wasn't about views. This was about control. Liam had lost the ability to script my reactions. So now he was trying to script the world's. But the one thing he never expected was that I would stop playing my role entirely. The next step wouldn't be online, wouldn't be emotional. It would be legal and final. The courthouse smelled faintly of old paper coffee and the kind of tension that comes from lives being dissected in legal language. I sat beside Marilyn in the front row, hands folded tightly, pulse steady but heavy like a drumbeat echoing up through my ribs. Across the aisle, Liam looked smaller than I remembered him. Hair unbrushed, tie crooked, leg bouncing uncontrollably. His mother sat beside him, arms crossed, glaring at me like I had personally orchestrated the downfall of civilization. He didn't look heartbroken, he looked cornered. When the judge entered, everything went still. Marilyn stood first, confident and poised. She presented the case in clean, devastating strokes: the TikTok video, the destroyed property, the drained account, the harassment at my workplace, the public defamation, the ongoing manipulation. Then she pressed play. The viral prank video echoed through the courtroom like a ghost. My quiet shock the stranger in my bed, Liam's giggle, his voice urging me to give him something dramatic. The judge's eyebrows rose, once, slowly. When the video ended, the room felt colder. "Mrs. Grizzle," the judge asked, turning to me, "is this the moment you chose to leave your home?" I nodded. "Yes, Your Honor." "Understandable," the judge murmured. Then it was Liam's turn. His attorney, an eager man with a too-tight suit and a rehearsed sympathetic smile, began with a plea that sounded almost theatrical. "Your Honor, my client made a mistake, a foolish, ill-timed joke, but he never intended harm. He has suffered immensely since his wife abandoned him without warning." Marilyn stood before he finished. Objection. She did not abandon him. She removed herself from an emotionally unsafe environment. "Sustained," the judge said sharply. "Counselor, choose your words carefully." Liam's lawyer swallowed hard and recalibrated. "They tried painting me as too sensitive, emotionally reactive, cold, and unwilling to communicate. A narrative Liam had repeated online thousands of times." Then Marilyn rose again. "Let's discuss intent," she said, walking toward the witness stand where Liam sat fidgeting. "Mr. Grizzle, why did you angle a Ring camera toward your bedroom door?" His throat bobbed. "To record the prank." "And why did you choose a prank involving fake infidelity?" A long pause. "Because it gets views." "Views," she repeated, eyes narrowing. "Not laughter, not connection. Views." "It was supposed to be funny," he mumbled. "And was it your intention to trigger your wife into believing she'd walked in on you cheating?" "No, I mean, maybe a little, but not like—" "And did you monetize the video?" His mother squeezed his arm. He hesitated. "Yes," he said finally, "but it wasn't a lot." $3,400, Marilyn recited from the documents, earned from humiliating your wife. The judge's gaze sharpened. Marilyn continued, voice low and surgical. "Did you at any point receive your wife's consent to film her reaction in your marital bedroom and post it publicly?" "No," he admitted. Did you ask her permission? No. Did you inform her in any capacity before uploading the video? No. Did you destroy or remove her belongings after she left the home? He froze. I was upset. That is not an answer, Marilyn pressed. Liam's voice cracked. Yes. And did you show up at her workplace causing a disruption during her shift? It wasn't like, yes or no, Mr. Grizzle. Yeah, yes. The judge lifted a hand. That is sufficient. The courtroom went silent except for the faint hum of the overhead lights. After a short recess, the judge returned with the ruling. In the matter of Christina Grizzle and Liam Grizzle, he began voice. Steady, the court finds that Mr. Grizzle engaged in a pattern of behavior that constitutes emotional abuse, harassment, and violation of marital privacy. A single tear rolled down Liam's cheek. His mother gasped loudly. Accordingly, the judge continued. A 6-month protective order is granted. Assets shall be divided equally, with each party retaining what they brought into the marriage. Mr. Grizzle's financial claims are denied. Mrs. Grizzle is not responsible for his emotional damages, student loans, or personal debts. Liam's lawyer lowered his head. Additionally, the judge said Mr. Grizzle is ordered to remove all online content involving Mrs. Grizzle within 48 hours or face further legal consequences. Half of Mrs. Grizzle's legal fees shall be paid by Mr. Grizzle due to unnecessary escalation. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. But something unknotted in my chest, a tension I'd been holding for weeks, released like a snapped wire. As the judge dismissed the case, Liam's mother shot to her feet. You ruined him, she hissed over the railing. He could have been your whole world. My father, who had been silent the entire hearing, finally turned to her. He was never supposed to be her whole world, he said calmly. He was supposed to be her partner. There's a difference. The bailiff stepped between them as we gathered our things. Outside the courthouse, sunlight hit my face for the first time that day. Warm, steady, real. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like reclaiming my breath after being underwater too long. And for the first time since the night everything snapped, I felt like myself again. Sunlight streamed across the small living room of my new apartment, a quiet one-bedroom space with pale walls, soft blankets, and absolutely nothing that wasn't chosen by me. No Ring cameras hidden on shelves. No forced couple aesthetic. No audience. Just peace. I didn't realize how heavy silence had become until it finally felt safe. After the court ruling, I spent a week at my parents' place, letting the shock settle into something steadier. My mom cooked too much food. My dad insisted on fixing things that weren't broken. They didn't say it aloud, but I could feel it relief that their daughter had finally escaped something they'd sensed long before I did. The protective order brought a strange mix of comfort and grief. I never imagined I'd need legal paperwork just to feel safe from the man I once trusted with everything. But healing isn't tidy. It doesn't ask if you're ready. My first night in the new apartment, I didn't sleep much. I walked through every room in slow circles, touching surfaces, opening drawers, breathing in the quiet like it was medicine. A week later, I went back to therapy. My therapist listened, nodded, and finally said the words no one else had found. You didn't just lose a marriage. You lost the version of him you believed in. It felt like truth cracking open. But somewhere inside me, there was still something unbroken. I started going on morning walks again, making real dinners, laughing with coworkers. For the first time in months, the hollow feeling in my chest stopped echoing. And then unexpectedly, there was the coffee date. A friend from work introduced us someone gentle, soft-spoken, the kind of man who didn't assume attention was owed to him. We talked for an hour. Nothing romantic, nothing heavy, just two people sharing a table. When he walked me to my car, he didn't press for anything, just smiled and said, I hope the next chapter treats you kindly. I didn't realize how badly I needed someone to treat me like a human instead of a storyline. That night I found out Liam knew. A message reached me through a mutual friend. Already moved on. Guess I never mattered. I took a breath to steady the familiar spark of guilt, then let it extinguish. I told the friend to reply with the truth. She mattered until you valued views more than your marriage. There was no response. But Liam's silence didn't last long. 2 days after the divorce became final, he posted a new TikTok. Not showing his face this time, blurred voice, slightly altered, but unmistakably him. Talking about narcissistic ex-wives and how strong men get punished for being vulnerable and how one harmless joke cost him everything. He didn't mention me by name, but he didn't need to. His followers connected the dots instantly. Comments exploded, some supportive, most calling him delusional. I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't have to. Instead, I sent the link to Marilyn. Within an hour, she issued a formal notice, remove the video, or face a contempt hearing for violating the judge's order. It disappeared in minutes. That was the last I heard of Liam. People say closure comes from answers, but mine came from absence, the quiet after the storm. The realization that not every wound needs a final conversation to heal. A few weeks later, I stopped by my usual coffee shop before work. As I waited for my order, a young woman approached me hesitantly. "Sorry," she said, "but are you the woman from that TikTok?" My stomach tightened, but I nodded. She offered a sad smile. "Good for you. What he did was awful." I let out a slow breath. "He's not my husband anymore." "Good," she said softly. "You deserve better." And the strange thing was, it didn't sting. It didn't feel humiliating. It felt true. I walked out of the cafe into the morning light, the air crisp and full of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Possibility. My therapist once told me, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply walk away. I didn't understand it then. But now, standing in the warmth of a quiet morning, keys in my hand, future unfolding in front of me, like a path I didn't know I'd been searching for, I finally did. Liam valued followers more than he valued me, but I chose myself. And in the end, that choice saved my life from becoming someone else's content. The world keeps spinning.